Welcome to the OC. I'm Phil. And this is my co-host Corey. And tonight, due to unforeseen circumstances, we are going to be discussing previous shit we've done. Right, Corey?
Yeah, so this is more like a clips episode, folks. Now, not with actual clips, but it's where we go back and talk about previous episodes, possibly to get you to look at them. They are some of our more popular episodes.
Yeah. So and not only that, we want you to view them. So what should we start with?
And some of them are updatable. Let's start at the beginning.
COVID. The very first episode that we did. Our cameras were not good. Mine especially. I kind of look like a dark Sith Lord. It's like all you see is like part of my face. It was our first time.
Yeah, and apparently my background was very busy.
Everybody commented about
I know
about hoarding. I don't know.
It's not hoarding. When you look at my study, it looks very nice. Everything's on the walls.
You look at my room. It's not. I mean, study.
It's a study, not a room.
It's a study.
It's not my office either. I'm like, no, my office is not my workout room. Thank you, work from home.
That's it.
Stupid COVID.
Oh, when was that? That was February. We started this.
It was February when we started, but I believe we actually had started like in January, like end of January.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think we recorded and then we had to edit. Which we have come a long way to.
And by we mean you. So anybody who has comments, if you have comments on the editing, good or bad, it's Phil. Yeah.
And if it's bad, just shut your mouth. I don't want to hear you.
Right, don't say negative things.
That's right.
My dad always used to say, "It's not the dirt that goes in you that kills you; it's the dirt that comes out."
Fucking right, it does. No, so COVID. I mean, we've touched on COVID pretty much in most of our rants, but
still pretty topical. It's still pretty topical.
It is very topical since we're Do you remember them?
Now well, okay. The one that's topical now is Bill and Melinda Gates, the Gates Foundation.
Yeah. So
now the question is, which one of them wants to put the microchips in you?
No, but it's still the most ridiculous. It's one of the most ridiculous ones to me. I don't understand. Fill me in. Have you heard anything else? Because all I've heard is the same shit. It's the same.
The only thing I've heard is because in the case of let's talk about the Bill and Melinda Gates thing, because the foundation has kind of fragmented. There's been a massive stock transfer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're not necessarily the united front. So maybe here's a conspiracy we can put out there. Maybe it's not the fact that Bill was friends with Jeffrey Epstein after everything came out about him being a big predator.
Yeah.
It's maybe they disagreed on the size of the microchips to put in people or to put microchips.
It is weird that Epstein, which is also an episode we did.
True.
The truth comes out about Epstein, and then all of a sudden Bill, after 40 some fucking years of marriage, is like, I'm getting a divorce.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Bill was visiting Pleasure Island. Right. Well, yeah, he was on the list. Yeah.
Yep.
There was lots of pictures of him with Epstein. So yeah. I mean,
we're not covering the Epstein episode.
No, but there was pictures. I mean, but it would make sense. It's relative to the divorce, maybe.
It's relative to the divorce, and again, given the linkage here, folks, is Bill and Melinda Gates, Gates Foundation, COVID conspiracy. They're behind it because Bill said in like 2016 or something, we're due for a pandemic and it's going to suck.
Yeah, on a
and we're not ready. And we're not ready. Yeah, and we're not ready. And he was very much right.
He was.
And because of that, they're like, oh, well, obviously he planned it and he wants to put microchips in us because he's a computer guy and that's what he does. No, he's an operating system guy. He wants to put Windows on it.
He's not an AI nanotechnology. Well, maybe he is. Maybe he has companies. Who knows?
Microsoft's got his fingers in a lot of pies. And Bill and Melinda Gates have divorced because they can't necessarily grow together. It was what's it called? Gray splitting, or it's basically when you're in your 60s and you decide to get divorced.
Oh,
that's apparently a new thing. So
gray splitting, is that what they call it?
I don't know. That's gray splitting or something. I'm sure Phil will put it up somewhere to show what it is.
Maybe if I can.
But the idea is that after all the Epstein thing is sort of settled, you read recently with the divorce detail, not the divorce details, but some stuff comes up about, hey, apparently Melinda wasn't super cool with the fact that Bill was chilling with
Well, think about this. Now, your wife finds out that, you were hanging with Epstein, chilling on his island, where he's known to have a ton of sex trade workers. Right. Yeah. Your wife's going to be like, fuck you. Well, probably have a few choice words.
Probably a couple. Yeah. And it's after.
We have both married strong women. So.
Yeah, I joke with Melissa about basically the problem is usually you have like a balance, right? Meaning, one person's more dominant, one person. Unfortunately, that's not the case with us. We're like flying a plane and we're both holding the stick. One wants to go over the mountain, the other wants to go under the mountain. I've seen it. What happens? Yeah. We hit the mountain.
Yeah. Yeah. You're like fire and ice. But it seems to work. You've been together how long?
Well,
I don't want to put you on the spot here right now.
Did not get a prenup, so we got married 2002. So God, almost 20 years. Shit.
Oh boy,
if I did second-degree murder, I'd be out on parole right now.
Right, but
eligible for it.
At least, well, if you were like some guy who chopped
15 years. 15 years for second degree, right? Is that what it is?
If you're in good behavior, sure.
I would be just. In prison, I would be.
You'd be good.
Good behavior.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Okay, so let's talk about conspiracies. So, what other conspiracy do we have?
Well, there's the 5G, which I was like, what? So, 5G, for those of you who don't know what 5G is, it is a form of communications for your new cell phones.
Yes, it's not magic. Not magic, folks.
5G.
We had 4G before that, so
and most places still have 4G.
Or 3G. Or
if you're in the rural areas. The nosebleed sections.
Probably doing CDMA, I think is what it is. The old flip phones use CDMA.
They don't. So that was a big deal when they changed the bandwidth. So I used to do cell phone boosters for rural areas, and they switched to the digital system. Right. So all that analog stuff gone. Doesn't exist anymore in the 80s.
Could you get COVID though from the analog stuff?
Oh, probably. No, of course not. There's no. I mean, it's apples and oranges. I mean, take 5 minutes on fucking Google and just research something, for God's sakes. I mean, it's not, there's no way that something is floating through the air that's going to give us COVID. That's just.
Now, we're not saying 5G, by the way, go touch your head up against a 5G tower and hold it there for an hour. We're not saying do that. There's I think if you read if you actually take the time and read the documentation come with your cell phone, it'll talk about cellular radiation, and hey,
it's a real thing.
They say it's not going to kill you, but you might not want to sleep with it on your chest or in your bum or whatever.
I think there's testicular things too, because a lot of guys, I'm one of them, keeps the phone in my front pocket. They say that you should change. You ever get the phantom phone call or the phantom buzzing?
Oh yes, yeah. That's a common thing.
Yeah, but some people attribute it to radiation, and maybe you should change your pocket phone. I'm a lefty. I'm a left carrier.
Just what? There's a market here, Phil. We need to get underwear that's lined with not necessarily tinfoil, but you would get something that acts like a bit of a Faraday cage that blocks
for your
harmful emissions.
Yeah.
And we could call it junk box or something. I don't know. You got junk.
You've got junk. It's like the razor for manscaping. What's it? The lawnmower. So
is that the one you see advertised all the time?
Everywhere.
Oh, for God's sake. Yeah. I don't know how many people.
Don't cut your balls.
Who uses a straight edge? Are you using a straight edge? Like these clippers are not. I mean, as far as I know, not that I've ever.
Apparently, I mean, I've
done some chest manscaping. I can get pretty hairy, but other than that,
no. I mean, I'm too old for that now. I don't even know.
Yeah, Phil, that's a sign you've given up on life. You wear track pants too, don't you?
No,
you do too, Phil. You're wearing them now, aren't you?
I'm not wearing pants right now, actually.
Okay, well, fair enough. That's something, I guess.
Hold on, let me pan down.
I do have Crocs on, for the record, which is another sign you've given up on life. But I've had to go outside, and they're comfy, and my slippers are.
I know, but we don't tell people. There goes another viewer.
Or we gained a couple, because look, it's black though. I have my coworker used to make fun of me. We used to play volleyball at work back in the before times, and I had blue Crocs, powder blue Crocs. I would use on my volleyball court.
That's
no, they were not very
Yeah.
Yeah, they were striking. Let's just say they were striking.
They were striking. Bright.
All right.
Will not be lost. Yeah.
So the 5G thing, there's no really new updates on it other than, folks, 5G is your cell phones.
Yeah.
People are saying your cell phones are giving you COVID.
It's a little ridiculous. We're not there
they're
yet.
They're linking it because China's big into 5G because it's the next thing we're going for. Like, it's a technology jump from current cellular technology. So
right.
There's the linkage, folks. That's what 5G is.
Yeah, and it doesn't make any fucking sense to me. But to some conspiracy theorist out there, it makes all the sense. But to me, none. Now, the one that does make sense is this whole, it escaped from a lab, because there's been more reports about this.
There's been more reports about that, because originally the reporting was, well, they genotype, or they did the typing of it. They said, no, it's not the same thing. We're working with coronaviruses, but it turns out not those coronaviruses. And then they did
bullshit. It was the same one.
The WHO did their thing, saying, wait a second, you guys weren't very forthcoming with a lot of anything.
Yeah, they wouldn't even let them in. They wouldn't even let them in the country, for fuck's sakes. They were like, no. Wait. I bet you there are millions and millions of people dead in the streets in some of these.
Oh, I'm sure the numbers are wrong. I mean, it's like we were talking about during the rant about India.
Oh my God.
Right? I'm sure whatever numbers we're seeing out of there, add a 0. And not before, add it after.
Yeah. Like it's a lot. There's like in China is like pulling up numbers like 12. We got 12 cases. It's just based on a population which would have a density similar to India, probably more, right? Like,
but totally. So they are very urbanized right now, and but they're opening up. Like, you don't hear about restrictions in China.
You don't really hear about anything in China, man. There's fucking nothing. What do you hear?
Great firewall of China, man.
It is, and they're everything's monitored, everything's kept under wraps. But that made a lot of sense. That something had happened. It could have been.
It made more sense than anything else on the list.
Absolutely.
So
it's the only thing.
Maybe we move this one a little bit from the crazy to say,
It makes more sense than it just sort of turned up. Well, fuck. In the same area that you're messing with these viruses, maybe we need to stop messing with shit.
We won't.
No, I know, but
we won't. Now, I mean, think about it. If you were China and you wanted to go off and hurt the world,
yeah, I guess.
Would you say COVID did a good job at demolishing the economies? Now, mind you, this is where the fall down is, and now. So the conspiracy can be expanded. We can say, for example, that they were working on COVID-19, right, as a bioweapon, and it escaped. Right. Meaning they had intended to work on it and get a vaccine developed.
But it got away on them.
But it got away on them before they could do it again, throwing out all those dead monkeys, like we talked in episode 1, where all these dead monkeys are in the dumpster.
Yeah. And then someone went and ate hey, who threw the great fucking monkey out? It's good. That's a good monkey.
Look at all these parts. This is delicious.
So many dead monkeys here. Ellen, load up the monkeys. We're going to eat good tonight. Yeah, who knows?
But because you look at the effect, like, let's step back and say, well, if you really wanted to hurt the economies of the world, and
it
say
hurt
you were
their
ready,
economy too.
It did. But so my investor was telling me the emerging markets. So he's got me in emerging markets right now, because he said, well, they're recovering faster than everywhere else is, the emerging markets. So now I don't know. I hope he doesn't have me heavily in India, because I don't think India will be recovering anytime soon. No. But there are areas where they're able to get back on the road faster.
Yeah, but we're not. So like production, and I know for supply and demand and all this other stuff. What the fuck? Like, what's going on with China? If China's got 12 cases a day, they should be in full fucking tilt, full production. Well, guess what? They're fucking not, because I can't even buy speakers for boats. I mean, head units, they all come from China. Everything comes from China, and we can't. The production has ceased. Right now, Chevrolet, most domestics can't get chips for their trucks.
Yeah, there's a bunch of reasons for that.
There is.
Not just COVID, but there's reasons like the whole blacklisting that you saw with the in the States, what they were doing with their executive orders, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's caused the shortage of rare earth elements. The
China's been buying those up for a while now.
Well, China put everybody else out of business because they dropped the price so low. They're like, okay, so all the other rare earth mines shut down. Like Canada has some. We do not have them anymore. I think we're starting to start them back up. Now, what about the vaccine production? So it's what's the Sino Shield or whatever? What's the Sinovac or what's the one that
China produced? I don't know.
It's not. So they don't they're not using AstraZeneca as far as I know, or Pfizer or Moderna.
They're using their own.
Yeah.
But did they offered it to India, I think. Did they not?
I think so.
Yeah. So I'd be a little leery. And nothing against the Orient here. But I mean, I'm not sure where this started. And then all of a sudden you guys are all good. And the rest of the world, like Canada, we have 35 million people. And we can't keep our numbers under 2,000 or under 1,000.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But we also don't have 400,000 million cases either, right? I think what's our total caseload in Canada? What's our total caseload in Canada? It's actually not that high. Where our numbers keep going up every 2,000 cases.
But I don't know what our cumulative is, but you would, like for China, they never broke like 60,000 a day right? Or I don't even know if it got that high. So in the States, I mean, they're still pumping out 60,000 a day.
But that's a media thing too. So this is one of the big conspiracies that the media is making. Now, I don't know if we talked about this in episode 1.
We didn't. I don't think that was.
It wasn't so much a conspiracy, but now you see the whole, as I've said in a previous episode, if it bleeds, it leads, right? And the doomsaying with COVID, the fact that every day, like, I don't know if CNN is still doing a daily COVID count, but they're still talking about it every day.
Yeah, probably not. So, other things are taking over, right? And we're seeing that here too. People are just fucking fed up.
They're tired of it. They've got serious COVID fatigue. Like, they're actually sick of hearing about it. I get it. It's showing up in our feces. Okay, fine.
I remember you talking about that. Yeah, that Ottawa was searching.
I don't think it's just Ottawa. I think it's a common thing where they'll check the sewage for the again. I'm not even sure how you manage that.
How the fuck do you
take the?
How do you know what's your control group?
All the poo comes through here, and it's from the city. Therefore, the city.
The city, yes, it is all the city.
I'd be curious if anybody wants to come on the show and talk about how you sample sewage for COVID.
That would be interesting.
Shoot us a comment. Info at like and subscribe. Shoot us a comment at info@orderedchaos.ca or leave a comment on this dumpster fire of a video.
Hey, whoa. It's not a dumpster fire yet.
Okay, fair enough.
But like when it comes to, the everybody, they got a name for it now. It's called the COVID syndrome. Have you heard of this? Because, people are wearing out.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a name for it. But we're seeing that. Like when we did the first video in late January, I didn't feel the way I do now. Like I was more like, all right, we're getting there. We're getting through this.
We'll be done this soon.
Yeah. And then
we're now the third wave.
We are in May, and I am like, the fuck?
Lockdown 3.0, baby.
We need to stop and reassess. What do they call Ford now? They have a new name for him. King Fo Dofo, they call him. Isn't that crazy?
Ford Dofo.
King Dofo. Because
he's so him and Trudeau both got a bump at the start for their handling, and they're both getting slapped now for their handling.
Well, and Dougie there is throwing Trudeau under the bus. There's just no.
I think they're taking turns. So sometimes Ford's driving the bus, and sometimes Trudeau's driving the bus. They keep throwing each other under it. It's I
don't know. At the last release I heard from Ford was he says, "Well, the Feds they're not giving us any vaccines." Oh yeah, and they won't shut the airports, which is a big deal. I think that when we talk back, I think everything was shut down when we talked. When we first
were we in the middle of it? I don't know if we were in the middle of a shutdown.
Not a shutdown, but international travel was, I think, in January was pretty much wasn't happening, right?
Was it? I thought it would have been the previous. Like I know they shut down.
I don't know, unless there was a COVID test.
I know I didn't go to Myrtle Beach last year, or this year.
Oh, nobody's traveling. That's why everyone. The price of lumber has went through the roof.
Speaking of the price of lumber, speaking of travel costs, Air Canada, I had a trip for work planned pre-COVID. It got canceled, and they said, "Well, here's your voucher." I'm like, "Okay, well, work, pay me my money. I don't need this voucher." Because And now Air Canada sent me a note saying, "Hey, if you'd like to claim your money, contact work." They're like, "You should do this." I'm like, "Are you telling me I should, or I have to?" Because this sounds like work on my part. Because they're like, "Well, go off, get it, and then write us a check."
Wait a minute. So you have to claim the ticket from your work and then pay them back?
Because it's a work expense, right? So when I originally booked the trip, I booked the ticket, and when it got canceled, they're like, "Well, we'll give you a voucher." And I said, "Yeah, I'm going to go expense this to work." So I'm like, "Okay, well, here," and the trip's been canceled, and there's a voucher. Give me my money back. So work, because that's what they do. Whenever I book my travel, I don't ever. Okay, folks, here's a lesson I learned painfully: don't let your workplace or your customers book your travel ever. Do it yourself.
No. Never. No, because it will never be a good experience.
Never. No, I took a trip when I had to go down to the U.S. to check out 2 facilities for a site visit, and it was apparently cheaper for me to spend my time cruising the better continental U.S. over 10 hours than a direct flight.
So, in a side note, my wife worked for the government, and they booked her, and she normally would do her own bookings. She was adamant always. She would check out the hotels, see their ratings, and all this other stuff, and then But they ended up doing group bookings through the secretary or whoever was the office assistant or whatever. She was in this dive of a hotel. She calls me. She's like, "I'm not saying you want to rent another hotel somewhere else." I'm like, "Oh." She's like, "Well, we have to use our own money because it's already been rented." So I'm like, "Well, whatever." And it was like down at like Jane and Finch or something. Some really bad neighborhood. He's like, "Do not trust anyone else to book your lodgings."
Yes. Okay, so what other conspiracies did we have at the start?
We had 5G. We had
there was the 5G. There
QAnon. Well, and Trump's no longer with us. So what can we say about that?
The less the better?
Probably. Nobody really cares now.
Great. Now I got to pull up my notes from my... I know I said I wasn't going to look at my notes.
You were the one who brought up QAnon.
I did not bring up QAnon. What do you mean I brought up QAnon?
I didn't even know what it was back then. Part of the...
Well...
Yeah.
You are surprisingly ignorant, Phil.
Some days.
Oh, no, my notes are all screwed up.
Don't worry about it.
No.
What else? I've got... the GMOs are somehow to blame.
Okay, doesn't actually exist. Plot by Big Pharma. Death rates are inflated. Deep state. I think that the QAnon one, I believe, is the deep state. One. GMOs. Yes. There we go. Yeah, they're not to blame, folks. No. They're not to. Yeah,
they're terrible. Monsanto and all these other.
So, for those who don't remember what GMOs are, genetically modified organisms. Right. Traditionally, you see this in food that makes them drought and pest resistant.
Yeah, and not really food anymore.
Well, okay, so
it becomes something else.
When you go off and screw with corn to make it so it's pest resistant, usually it's because you're putting pesticide, like you're not pesticide, that's too harsh. You're not getting it to produce DDT, but you're getting it to produce something that's bad for the pests, therefore they don't touch it.
Yeah,
that means you're eating it,
and then you eat it. Yeah, so it's that's a whole other podcast.
Completely.
That's a good one.
But that would require us to do research on GMOs, and given our backgrounds, like I admit I have a decent science background, but not a. I'm more like a really watered down Bill Nye the Science Guy than Neil deGrasse, whatever.
He's an astrophysicist.
Yeah, but he's also like a crazy smart scientist.
Dude, yeah, that dude's crazy smart. So yeah, what else was there? There was the the New World Order.
Yep,
that doesn't kill enough people, and we're still seeing them, even with the new variants.
But it doesn't necessarily need to kill. So this is where it gets interesting with this one. It doesn't necessarily need to kill. It needs to destabilize and create chaos, so that you could have a party step in and save us all, right? Yeah. Or take advantage of it. So I don't know about you. Did you invest in the stock market?
No.
You really should have, because I did. I played because I'm such a wuss when it comes my risk tolerance. My risk tolerance is like nothing. I was like, oh, I'll just go off. I'll throw $500 in.
Sure.
Turned it into 1,500 because the market did it.
Yeah.
Now it's doing this again.
It's kind of.
Let's not even forget what Bitcoin's done.
Frig. Are you into Bitcoin?
I have Ripple. I refuse on a matter of principle, and I'm such an idiot for this, to buy Dodge because it's like a Dogecoin, because it's like a meme currency. It's like a joke cryptocurrency. Like nobody ever took it seriously. And until Musk started talking about it, and then it went from like 3 cents to 6 cents, and I think it was up to 60 cents.
Oh.
So I saw it when it was like 3 cents. I was like, oh, and I'm like doubled to 6. I'm like, oh my dear Lord, I should go off and throw $500 at this. And if I had done that, I would. Well, if I'd thrown $500 at it, I would have made 10 times back selling it at 60 cents.
Ooh. So it's still going up.
So the Musk recently said we're not accepting Bitcoin.
Oh.
Which, by the way, Bitcoin is now the new Kleenex, in case you're wondering. And you're wondering, what do I mean by that? Go ahead, ask. What do I mean by that?
What do you mean by that?
Do you ask somebody for a tissue or a Kleenex?
Or a jacuzzi or pool spa.
Or a Xerox. Like, nobody says, get me a copy. Say, go Xerox this, right? Which is the name of the brand. Bitcoin. Yeah, exactly. Bitcoin has become synonymous with the cryptocurrency but there's a multitude of them.
Yeah. I don't get any of it. I'm too old. I don't
need to get any of it. All you need to know is money.
Money.
You buy this thing and it makes money. Do you need to know what Chorus does?
What is Chorus?
It's so you see it on TV. So a lot of the radio stations are owned by Chorus, right? Okay. Some of the TV shows, you see it like show up on Global TV, I think.
Oh, okay.
So I'm in that actually, and it's it doubled what I put in it because it dropped down. Well, yeah. Again, okay. Wow. Okay. FYI, big friggin' coward here when it comes to investing like that. So I've got maybe $2,000 invested in all of this stuff.
Oh wow. Well, it's better than
which
nothing.
It's doubled, but still, that's I'm not retiring on it.
No, you'll have a pension for that. Yeah.
So this is the idea, though, when you talk about the New World Order conspiracy with COVID, is that this created chaos and created a lot of opportunities. I am sure anybody who was watching made a lot of money.
Oh, I'm sure.
I wasn't. I was sort of like watching out of the corner of my eye, and I made a bunch. Not a bunch, but that's because I didn't invest a bunch.
I think that we're seeing it's going to take years for the economy to come back, but all these bailouts, all these things, they're like, look at Air Canada. They're getting bailed out. Jazz is getting bailed out.
They're offering to give me back money, so I think that was part of the agreement.
Yeah, for some people it is. I mean, I've seen different ones where they don't want to give it back. They want to offer vouchers and hope that down the road that you go, okay, I'll travel again. But from the sounds of things, there's a lot of traveling going on.
I don't think it ever truly stopped. I think it diminished, which did not help keep the pen. I mean, I know a lot of people are skipping the quarantine, 14-day quarantine they're supposed to do.
Oh yeah, there's
and those COVID hotels. What? Did you hear about that? No. When they come into Canada, you have to stay in a COVID hotel for 3 days to get back a negative result. And what turns out they weren't well run at all.
But what constitutes before you become like, now you're into a military barracks sort of situation
which was the first time, remember, where you had those folks that they brought back and they made them stay on base.
Yeah. Well, and there was the bubble when people would go to Halifax. Right? Remember the bubble? Like, it was a real thing.
Maritime bubble. The maritime bubble.
There's people that were okay. You go in. You've got 2 weeks. You got pets. Too fucking bad. You got kids. You're all in a hotel room. Like, all of you. Can you imagine? 1 bedroom hotel room. Fuck. I'd lose my bananas, man. Anyway, what else was there? There was what did we talk about? We did talk about anti-vaxxers.
No. So it's funny enough. That's kind of like the new thing. So
no, we did mention it. It's in my notes here.
We did mention it, but we didn't get. So that's actually newer because we were like, oh, you know, anti-vaxxers, you're cray, you're nuts.
Yeah, and we kind of predicted, I think, in that episode that we were like, okay, you're gonna have the nut jobs that are like, no vaccines for me. Or the ones that are like, we are 3 free thinkers. Are you?
Anti-vaxxers, anti-maskers.
Anti-maskers.
They both kind of fall into the same category. In one case, they don't want the poison in them. In the other case,
it doesn't.
They don't want to look like Batman, I guess. I don't know, or Spider-Man, or
Batman. Yeah, I don't get it, and it's still we're seeing that all the time now.
However, vaccine hesitancy is a thing, and it was not helped by the AstraZeneca situation. Phil, would you like to walk people? Anybody who's watched our rant knows about the AstraZeneca.
We have been ranting for a while. The saga. So they tell you. So we've seen that there's blood clots in AstraZeneca. So at the time, AstraZeneca, I don't believe was approved at this point when we first did the podcast.
Nothing was actually approved, like
except for Moderna and Pfizer.
Well,
they were on their way.
Approved. They were so. There's the emergency use authorization, which is not the same thing as being approved. That's like, hey, use this for emergencies.
Right.
We're in an emergency, go use it. Versus, no, we've taken our time and said this is good.
Yeah, well, so AstraZeneca being one of the top-rated Oxford-generated vaccines, turned out that it causes blood clots.
They recently said that they think it actually has to do with the preservatives and some of the proteins used in the. So it's not the mRNA thing that's the problem.
Right.
It's the fact that there's preservatives to keep it from spoiling because it doesn't help you if you can't get it. Or the proteins they use in it as part of the base.
It's funny, they use things like mercury in things like that to stabilizers. Yeah, and for a lot of vaccines, I don't know about this one in particular, but what is the other one? Thiazine. There's some different chemicals that they use because they have to keep this shit. They have to make it, and it has to stay stable for,
well, it's no good. You don't want useless.
Yeah,
I don't like getting needles to begin with, but I certainly don't want to get needles twice because the first shot we gave you, it's all inert.
Well, this is it. So so then they tell us nobody. What was it? Over 60.
It was over 65.
Over 65.
And then it was under 55. Then it was like nobody under 55. So they said nobody over 65 because that's bad.
Yeah.
And then they said, okay, nobody under 55.
Right.
And then they open it up for me here in Ottawa saying, well, okay, in Ontario, 40 and over can get AstraZeneca.
Yeah, give her. Just do it.
And then last week they go off and say, out of an abundance of caution, we are not giving out. Now, 2 reasons, of course. One is to save it for the second shot for the people who got the first AstraZeneca shot, because you're like, well, the first one didn't kill you. You're probably good with the second.
Probably. Maybe.
Although my coworker's husband and our buddy Jay got their asses kicked by AstraZeneca.
The second dose for any of the vaccines apparently is sort of like your first dose is the you're getting an immune response, but then the second dose is like your body goes into like, holy fuck, we got to do something. So you're living through probably a dumbed down version of COVID. So if that gives you an idea what COVID's like, it wouldn't be anywhere near as strong as COVID.
No, but it's still
enough that you're like, oh god, I'm fucking dying.
But this comes back to the anti-vaxxers, right? The conspiracies that that the vaccines are poison, that they haven't been tried enough. Welcome to vaccine hesitancy. When you go off and it's like, we decided to take one of the big vaccines and not use it anymore,
and then we look stupid, right?
Oh, completely.
Yeah, as a population who And I don't blame anyone for being nervous when it comes to that shit.
Particularly when it's newer stuff, right?
Yeah.
So this is the thing when you're looking at all these vaccines,
Yeah.
it's an element of, don't these things take 2 years and we did them in 6 months? Wait a second here.
And Moderna. So I did first thing I did was I started looking into Moderna. And Moderna has a history with this mRNA vaccine. This is not new technology, right? So everyone thought, oh, this is all brand new, but it wasn't.
Isn't that the name? Isn't that what Moderna is? Like it's mRNA. Like if you look at the the way they design their name of the company.
But it was designed for the Zika virus 20 years ago. So what happened was though that they decided, and we talked about this in the first podcast, was that it was designed and it was meant to help with the Zika virus because this thing was like out of control, and then all of a sudden it just snuffed itself out. So before they could get into huge clinical trials, they had all this like technology. They made the product. I'm assuming they sold it to Pfizer, or somehow that product became.
I would license it. It might have been a license.
Could be licensed.
Depends on the technology. I mean, you hear about the current thing, and this is where when we talk about conspiracies for COVID, is the removal of patents for stuff like this.
Right. Yeah. It's all about money too, right? Like this is a huge money maker. Everybody in the world potentially is going to use this product. And based on our science, how many times do they have to use it? There's no study that shows that we won't have to continue to get booster shots.
So I know the Moderna CEO was, and this is the other conspiracy, that Big Pharma got us right where they want us, where they can go off. And now every year we have to get our booster for Moderna's vaccine.
Well, and that's money. Right?
That's money.
All about money.
And if we're not paying for it, the government's paying for it.
Somebody's
right?
Paying them. They don't give a fuck.
Because it'll become part of our health system, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And now they've got a moneymaker.
So you almost think like when someone makes a software program, and I know this from personal experience, there are bugs in that software program. There are bugs there to justify support. There are bugs there to justify a lot of things. But because where you make your money on software a lot of times is through support, through third-party support, and so why would you
no longer buy software? It's now all a service you're buying. You're not actually buying the software. You're buying the service. Yeah. Games are moving that way too, by the way, unfortunately.
Right. So, when you think of Moderna, like, well, if we just made it so it's one shot, well, we only get paid once. But now we'll make residual income off of every year, off every human being that has taken our virus. Right? So,
this plays into the Big Pharma conspiracy, right?
Yeah.
So Big Pharma.
Yeah.
Now, now, mind you, we shot down the Big Pharma conspiracy
yeah,
because of the fact that it's like, wait a second, they may have developed the vaccine in 6 months.
Yeah.
But if you're going to go off and use a bioweapon on people and want to sell them the vaccine, you probably want to have the vaccine ready prior to.
Yeah. And not only that, the Chinese were and I don't think they get anywhere near enough credit. The reason a lot of these things could be made so quickly was that the Chinese have been working on this even beforehand, right? And they had already mapped out the protein sequence for COVID. And that's what you need in order to actually make a virus.
Because they created it as a bioweapon. This is basically,
but they shared it, which you go, okay, if they wanted it as a bioweapon, why would they share that information? Right? Why? It doesn't make any sense. So, there's a lot of flaws and.
Yes, true.
Right?
I don't think this is Umbrella Corp. Although, if you look at Corona, is an anagram for raccoon.
Oh my God.
Now, mind you, now it's
Raccoon City. You mean, huh?
Yes. So it's actually an anagram for raccoon. Now it's an alternate spelling of raccoon. But I think it's like one less C or something like that.
Just one, sure.
But it's actually a legitimate alternate spelling. And again, Raccoon City, Umbrella Corporation, Resident Evil, bioweapons. Here we are. We're not turning into zombies though. Yeah.
That's disappointing. No, and that led me back to, and I think we discussed this. I think it was an accident, and I think that some dude working at one of these facilities, he got sick. And
if you were looking at the most plausible, this is why you don't use bioweapons, Phil. This is like fire in the ancient world in warfare.
Yeah.
You light the enemy's camp on fire. Next thing you know, your camp's on fire.
You don't make fires in a grass hut.
It's sort in a grass hut, grass field,
dried timber,
right, like
fuck. But yeah, but that's what I'm, it's the most plausible thing is that, hey, and you could be the guy that's, the low man at, doing whatever kind of research, and all of a sudden you've injected a rat with this fucking thing, and the rat bites you. Mice and rats in lab experiments bite human beings all the time. Or a monkey.
All it takes is a moment of just forgetfulness of whatever, just carelessness, and all of a sudden, next thing you know,
yeah. Do you see that video that's kind of viral? And it's the girl getting an injection, and the nurse actually like drops the needle by accident, and the needle like falls into the girl, and it like sticks in her arm. It just stays right there, and you're like, Jesus Christ!
That sounds totally staged. I'm sorry.
No,
I look at stuff like that.
I don't think it is, because
Who was filming it? They just happened to be filming it randomly and it happened?
It was like a news. No, I don't think so. I think the way the nurse was. Oh, so when you haven't got your needle yet, right?
No, okay. But I have had flu shots before.
But these needles, the technology has changed. I don't know why, but you don't feel fucking anything.
Really? That's good.
It is the weirdest thing.
That's awesome. It's probably because it has to be kept at sub-zero temperatures. So they're basically, when it touches your skin, it's freezing everything. So
maybe. Well, I don't know, because so I was, the girl's like, okay, hold on a second, you're gonna, maybe feel a little pinch, and I don't really want to watch, but they pinch your arm, they squeeze the upper portion of your arm,
and was she like, "You're muscly, man?
You're so muscly." No, she's just like, fucking move the meat sacks along, stab them as they go. So she I feel her pinch my arm, and then I'm like waiting for the pin, like for something, nothing, and I'm like, I look, and she's like, "Okay, all done," and I'm like, what the fuck? What just that? What kind of?
Turns out she never gave it to you, Phil. That's the thing. It turns out they're saving it. She's like, "I'll put this in the bucket."
Oh no, I felt it later. So one of the joys of these vaccines is that it does leave you feeling quite sore in the injection site. But things have changed so much, and you, like, if the needle can be like that you don't fucking feel it jabbing through layers of muscle tissue, you could stab yourself pretty fucking easy with one of these things. I mean, and that's what the video is, and it's the same needle. Like, the girl got her injection, and then what happened was she gave the injection, and it just kind of dropped her, and it lands in it. It fucking sticks in the girl's arm. You'll see it. It looks pretty legit, and it looks like a news thing. And the camera guy's like, you can only.
I always question whenever.
But I can see how
was it on TikTok?
No. It was on the news, and or on one of the news networks or something. But it's all over. It's viral everywhere. Yeah.
Okay. No, I'll go
check it out.
And Melissa watches this stuff. I'll ask her. She's when it comes to videos, she's my internet junkie on that.
Yeah. But the needles are so sharp and so small, like so thin that they can just stick into you. It just stuck in her. And the nurse is like, didn't miss a beat. Grabs and throws it out. It's like, oh God. But technology has come so far. But big pharma being I don't see that. And
I do think they're one of, so they talk about shallow and deep conspiracies, right? So shallow conspiracies always deal with who stands to benefit. They're the victim. They're the person behind it, right? The deep conspiracies is where you start feeding through, and it's not necessarily, you're not going for the obvious one. So a lot of these are fairly shallow, right? So big pharma is certainly a shallow conspiracy where you'll have it that, they're going to benefit. The people who are going to save us from the virus are going to benefit.
Well, of course.
They're clearly the ones behind the virus.
Are they, though?
Are they?
Are
they? Do they have capabilities?
Do they? But that's it, right? Like they. What else did we have on there?
So one of the ones we had about the death rates being inflated.
Oh yeah, that's right too.
And this is one of those ones where, okay, I'm not going to say the death rates aren't like.
I think that there's no longer any. I think they are inflated. I'll just come out and say
I want to say they're not. I want to say actually they're not. I want to say they're not accurate.
Well,
so
that's
whatever
okay.
That means.
Whatever that means is
whatever that means. I'm going to say they're not accurate.
So
okay, there could be more. There could be less. We don't know.
Yeah,
but they're not accurate.
People I know, you especially there's individuals who are RNs, nurses, and that have said when someone dies, they're seeing on charts that it's COVID related. When someone who's 90 years old dies of a respiratory illness, I'm pretty sure it's becoming a COVID death. And why is that? Is it COVID?
During a COVID time, it's COVID time. Did they have COVID?
Right.
Maybe they might have. Did that kill them? Well, they died of respiratory.
Or do they test after they're dead? Right.
So I know they had done some cadaver tests at the start. So we talked about this in episode 1, where we talked about that we're doing cadaver tests to see that COVID was, and my brother mentioned this to me. That's how I was aware of it. He said, well, it was actually showing up prior to China coming out in like December of 2019 saying, by the way, we've got COVID. Yeah. So you were seeing it circulating before then.
Yeah, they expected it was a year. So they did antibody testing on people. They figure it was a year.
But they also checked out cadavers. They said, here's were some people that died. Yeah. So this is where I think the numbers aren't accurate because in some cases, like they're adding them in, other cases they're not. It's
well, and that's it. And then you're seeing like hospitals, so now there's no more influenza. It doesn't exist.
Well, so here's the thing, Phil. If you go off and wear a mask, don't see people, and wash your hands all the time, and sanitize the crap out of everything, guess what?
Yeah, you don't get sick.
You don't get influenza.
You
right?
still get
the flu
COVID.
doesn't happen. Well, do you have COVID?
Not that I'm aware of.
Me neither. Okay, and now I don't hunker in my bunker, but
no, but I'm also immunized against. Well, partially. I don't have my second shot yet.
So you can still get it. So
you sure can.
Now you are unlikely. So this is the one thing they've said about all the vaccines. It doesn't matter which one you take. Yep. Johnson & Johnson is like the lowest rate is only one, but it's the lowest rate. But all the vaccines, basically, you are incredibly less likely to experience complications. Now you're already not going. It is unlikely if you got COVID, you're going to wind up hospitalized and on a ventilator.
So that's the whole point of that first shot. That's why they want you to. They want to get as many arms jabbed as possible.
But even before you're immunized with that first shot, your chance of winding up on a ventilator from COVID is
right. It's very minimal.
But it can happen. You get that first shot, it now drops into the basement. Like your chance of getting it, like not great at all.
No, for sure. And like COVID. I think the figure for Moderna is 73% effective in terms of.
The best is Pfizer the best because that's what I'm pushing for. I've got my appointment booked.
Best is
first week of June.
To me is Pfizer has more symptoms. There's more systematic symptoms for side effects.
Okay, so I want Moderna.
Moderna was the one right from the get go because for me it was just that it'd been around for a long time. The technology wasn't brand new. And most people don't read or look at anything. They go, oh, this is all brand new. No, it's fucking 20 years old. It's old.
Sure, it's 20 years old, but traditional vaccines are 100 years old, right? So
I know for sure.
That's where I think a lot of it comes from is it's not the polio vaccine you and I got with the spoon. Like, do you remember the polio vaccine where it's like you the thing on the spoon?
You drink it. Yeah, fuck, that was horrible. Oral polio is what they called it.
Oral polio, yeah, they give you in schools.
Polio, fuck.
Like, they told me it was like pudding. It was not pudding. They lied to Mr. Jessup lied to me.
Oh, you got it there. I got it at the health unit or at my doctor's office.
When I was in, I remember getting it in the guidance office at Whitfield.
Ooh, Jesus Christ! Well, I guess they could.
They told me it was oral polio.
Was it from his pants? Jessup's like, zoop. All right, I'm going to give you some oral polio medicine. Oh, no, not again.
I'm the one drinking, not you, right? Are you still drinking your white girl drunk stuff?
No, what do you mean? No, I'm drinking water. I'm just drinking.
Sure? Because you're acting like frat boy right now.
What? Mr. Jess? Was it Jessup or Jess? Mr. Jess died.
Maybe it was. Who was the guidance counselor?
Was it
Mr. Jess?
I don't know.
I want to say Jessup. I don't know. I remember Mr.
There was
Payne,
Mr. Payne,
Mr. Humble, Mr. Payne. Yeah, I remember Mr. Humble, Mr. Time.
Mr. Payne was a guidance counselor, and so was Jess. But Jessup, I don't know.
Maybe it's Mr. Jess.
He was the gym teacher.
Yeah.
He ended up with stomach cancer, I do believe. Nice man. I saw him years later.
That's not a good way to go.
Fucking dude was like fit, like unbelievably fit. He was a gymnast or something. Yeah. Anyway, but when your number's up, your number's up.
Same oral polio sucks.
Oh yeah, tastes
folks,
horrible.
by the way, it's awful.
But you know,
it's awful.
These are different kinds of like they manufacture a new influenza vaccine every year. Right.
Yes, but it's not necessarily manufactured differently than the way vaccines have been done. And that's where the mRNA stuff scares people, right? Because it's like, okay, we're going to give you this thing and it's going to it's going to turn your cells and start having these cells produce the fake spike, the fake virus in you.
It's based on the proteins, right? So a virus is made up of protein. It is nothing more than amino acids and proteins. That's what it is. And so all they need to have is the chain of protein, and they can examine the chain of protein. And then what they do is when protein is injected into you, it's mimicking that particular protein, and your body fights it off. Your body
identifies it. Your body. So there's a process.
This does not belong here. This is
your helper T cells go off, identify it, and it starts mobilizing your immune system to deal with it.
Yeah, exactly.
The problem is oftentimes that if they don't, so this is how immunization works, folks. If your body knows what it's looking for, it can quickly, rapidly respond. If it can't, it's got to figure it out.
It's got to figure it out. And that's why your first shot, you don't usually get any side effects. Like some people, and if you do, that means you got a pretty fucking strong immune system, right?
Well, most people die because they're strong immune systems. Most viruses tend not to kill you. They tend to be your responding to the virus, right? Jacking your heat up to 150, going off. That's right, going off mucus.
Make more mucus. God damn it. We don't know where this thing is.
Flush it out.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's over there. Start killing those cells.
What do you mean our host can't breathe? Don't worry about it. We'll get this son of a bitch.
That's right. We got him. We got him. We got him, sir.
Yeah.
Sir?
Yeah. We're all fucked. Abort. Yeah, but that's what it does. It's not rocket science in a lot of ways. When I read about it, when I've watched, doctors talk about it, you kind of go, wow. And that's where China, and nobody gives them any credit, the hardest part of this whole process is mapping the DNA, the protein chain for the virus. And they fucking did it.
Because they created it. They had they were like, oh, well, here's the blue. We mapped this.
Yeah. And but that's one of the most difficult parts, right? And you go, okay, because your body does the rest. This isn't a cure. Vaccinations are
this isn't rewriting. This is that's right. This is not going in and doing stuff. It is going in and invoking a response. Now the mRNA is doing something. It's basically instead of injecting you with a dead version or an inert version of the virus, it's actually going in. Yeah. It's basically acting like a virus, taking over some of your cells. It's not doing anything.
Well,
it's
they
just
pick and
replicating
choose
itself.
What they remove from that protein, right? And that's what the old school AstraZeneca is, right? It's old school. Okay, so we're going to take the virus. We actually take the coronavirus or COVID-19, and we take out some of the nasty parts that will kill you. If we know what they are, we'll take them out, and then your body will go, okay, well, and then we'll inject it into you. And your body says, oh, fuck, I recognize this little bastard. And they'll hunt it down and kill it when it comes into your body. Now, if those other little pieces of nastiness are attached when you do get the actual virus, your body still has the ability to go, this is COVID, this is what I do, and we go from there. But if you don't have that, and like you said, it's your fucking immune system that actually, like, it does not work against you. Or it does not work for you sometimes.
It means well. Like anything, it means really well what it's trying to do. It's like, I got to get rid of this virus. Okay, wait a second. I also need to survive this experience. I got to get rid of the virus, and you have to survive.
Yeah. It's like
you got
fevers.
the priority wrong.
People think fever. A fever's horrible. No, a fever is actually. Yes, it can be. They can be dangerous, but a fever's good because it raises your body temperature to a point where the virus can't live. That's the whole point.
Unfortunately, if it rages out of control, it also raises it to a point where vital brain cells can't live.
Well, where we can't live because our blood is boiling.
So, on all this topic, do you know why bats don't get sick so much?
Oh, they have something in their blood. It's
So it's actually bats have two things going for them.
Yeah.
One, their system has a more measured response to infection.
Right.
So because the key issue when you get a cold and it's snot, that's your system saying, hey, I'm trying to purge everything. And it goes from 0 to 10 or 100. Right. The bat system ramps up and basically does like kind of a homeostasis where it's like, I've got it under control. It's not affecting me. Great.
Perfect.
The other thing it does that they have they have awesome cellular repair.
Right.
So they can repair any of the damage that the virus, because the viruses do damage to your system.
For sure.
But when you suffer, it's usually the immune response, not the virus that's actually doing the damage.
Like for COVID, and that's the kind of because there's not a lot of study, right? So this thing can affect everything from vision, your lungs, can attack your heart.
Was it you that said that and I don't know if this was you or it might be me from the Wednesday/Thursday rant about the spike proteins, that part of it is the damage literally those spikes are doing to the cells.
Yeah, so it is. When you look at COVID, it's the spike proteins that are causing the biggest problems, right? So
they're actually physically damaging cells.
Yeah, they attach.
They damage the cells when they do that versus attach and take over.
Bitch of a thing, and it's not like influenza. It is, but it isn't like influenza or anything else, right? And these new variants, I have a feeling that there's a lot more going on with them that we're not hearing about, because now you have children who are dying, and that's not something that's really being talked about, because we're all cool until you fucking bring the kids into it. And that's when people start to get like, what the fuck? Because there was babies dying, which was almost unheard of. There was some young children dying with this new variant.
Variants of concern.
Yes, the VOC. But I think the government keeps us in the dark a little bit until it's.
Oh, of course they totally do. Don't wear masks. Oh wait.
Oh, wait a minute. Wear a mask. God damn it.
Wear masks. Yeah.
And now Tam, Dr. Tam, who's our doctor in Canada.
Teresa Tam.
Yes. She does look like a little man. I don't know. Sorry, Tam, if you're watching, which probably not. Probably not.
Like and subscribe. If
like
you are,
and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
We'll gladly take you as a viewer. Yeah, she's like, well, I think, people have a good summer this summer. And things are going to be okay. And yeah, we'll be able to have a lot of social activity if you're vaccinated.
The one-shot summer, is that what Trudeau was calling it? Or was that her that came up with that line?
I don't know. I really don't know about that. I try not to pay a lot of attention to what Trudeau says, because I figure he doesn't know shit. So I listen to the doctors. I don't really listen to the CDC or to the WHO, sorry. I find they're very one-sided as well.
They're mostly European, right? Like I know it's the World Health Organization, but I always get the impression that it's all mostly EU based, because I think the US basically stopped providing any funding. So
they were giving a lot, and that was Trump. Trump's like, fuck you.
But they give a lot. They give a lot to everything, because you know what? They have a lot to give, and it gives them power to do so. So they buy that control by saying, well, do you want to cut your funding? Okay, listen to us.
And that's what Trump was like. You know what? Fuck you. Cut your funding. Which, then everybody else, all the countries go, whoa, back up a minute. Jesus. Fucking, what are you thinking? But now that Trump is gone, I don't know. As things got better, who knows? I don't really know. With virus, Fauci's still saying everybody's saying they're doing well. People aren't wearing masks.
Okay. So see the message CDC recently gave out was, if you're fully vaccinated, you don't need to wear a mask.
Yes.
Okay. How in God's name are they going to enforce that? Are you going to go off and somebody's not wearing a mask? Say, are you fully vaccinated, or are you just not wanting to wear a mask?
Well,
yeah, I'm fully vaccinated.
So I get people come into my shop at times. I've only had, I think that I've seen 3 people, and they come in and they're like, I am exempt. And I'm like, not here, you're not. Simple as that. Like, you go wait outside and somebody will, but I don't even understand what exempt means. But
so I think there were medical exemptions, but very much like gluten free. If only people who were gluten free, like gluten intolerant, like celiac disease, ate gluten free food, there would be no gluten free food. It's the same thing. If the number of people, if only the number of people that were medically exempt,
and both of these people,
exemption,
2 of these people, I could smell smoke on them. I'm like, so you fucking smoke, and you can't wear a mask, right? Yeah. Give me a break. I mean, yeah, but yeah, I don't know. We're gonna get through this. I'll say we, but I've already had a shot. You need one.
I'm getting mine. Melissa gets hers at the end of the month. I get mine at the start of next month. So
yeah, and I think that is the key, right? Is that if you get this, you get the shot. Everybody's immune, or quasi
the herd immunity thing.
Yeah, and then we're back to normal, baby. Fuck.
So, do we have any new conspiracies to add to it? Because I'm trying to recap. I think we've actually touched on everything from the first episode.
Yeah,
and we're also, the production qualities are much better now, folks. Even the new opening.
Oh, I know.
Compare the two.
Take a look. You know what? I don't think there's anything really staggeringly new. I keep a pretty close eye.
Aside from the AstraZeneca drama.
Well, and that's only new because at the time we weren't even looking at vaccines, right? They were sort of like a hope, a glimmer of something.
They were the great white hope. They were going to fix everything, right?
And they will. It's just a matter of people taking them. And the biggest problem I'm seeing right now is that like this mistrust, like you said, and that's not just in Canada, that's everywhere, and
but the government does themselves no friggin' favors. No. Like I said, the mask thing. So one of the reasons why they gave the advice they gave about don't wear masks, they're no good they're not going to help. They don't
want you buying up all the fucking masks.
They didn't want you buying up. So they're modifying our behavior. They're changing.
Well, look what we did with toilet paper. We're not even we as a people. I mean, let's buy all of the toilet paper. Dear God, how will we shit without it? I don't know. You'll fucking figure it out, is what I say.
You'll figure it out.
You'll figure it out. There's worse things. Jump in the shower. Fuck, whatever. But, and that's the thing, is that you tell people, look at gasoline right now.
Well, the pipeline, so the ransomware hack, right? Which again is,
they're having to put out fucking warnings. Do not put gasoline in plastic bags.
What the hell is that?
Did you see
Seriously?
that? It's like,
I did. I was like, what?
They're storing it in plastic shopping bags. How fucking dumb are you? It will eat through your plastic, and then you're smoking a cigarette. Got 9 bags in the back seat. I don't know.
Yeah.
You deserve to die. I'm sorry. If you're that fucking dumb,
I will admit, when I was younger, I had an old carbureted car, and it wouldn't start. So you basically do pop the hood and dump a little bit of gas in the carburetor. I used a styrofoam cup.
Well, it'll eat that too. But
instantly.
Yeah.
Instantly. I poured it. I'm walking over. I'm like,
my dad had an old jug of gas. This is horrible for the environment. But like, he would work on cars and I would help him. And he'd be like, okay, hold out your hands. And he'd pour a little fucking gas on my hands. And that's what we would use to take off all the grease. And it would eat.
It's a solvent. It's actually a solvent.
Folks. And same as paintbrushes. He'd keep his paintbrushes in old gasoline. And it kept the fucking things, it would keep the paint, eat the paint out of it. So this is what you put in your car to burn. You don't put it in your fucking shopping bags. Dipshits. Anyway, so yeah, no, I don't think there's anything else. I do like the fact that we came back to it, because COVID right now is still very relevant, and there's a lot of scared people out there.
Well, and maybe this will be our second most popular episode because it'll have the term COVID in it. People will go off, and we'll have to have a link back to the previous episode so they can see what we're talking about when we revisit this.
We can do that. We can do anything. This is almost like TV.
Do anything.
Our editing capabilities have come so far.
And that's important to note, folks. When you look at, if you're looking for a treat, run the two videos side by side and just do the comparisons. Not only are we more attractive, that's right, but production-wise, quality-wise, everything's all set up. I don't have a busy background.
No, I can't even tell what's back there. I saw something move earlier, but I wasn't going to say anything. What the fuck is that? Where did Corey go? All right. Anything else you want to add? No? Yeah?
No, nothing. Here's hoping. I don't want to say what's going to happen next week.
We have no idea. We have no idea.
We want to talk about what happened next week, or are we going to go off and surprise ourselves?
We'll surprise ourselves. Let's surprise ourselves. Okay. All right. Let's not ruin it. We'll do a midweek reveal, maybe on our rant.
But let's not ruin it. Let's not ruin it. We don't know.
Yes. All right, folks. Thanks very much for watching the OC. I'm your host, Phil, my co-host, Corey. And as always, we are wishing you a good week, a good time, many, many fun things for you to do this summer. And good night.
Take care, folks.